So I'm here to discuss about the Right to Information Act 2005 through my presentation. So as you can see the title on the very first page, it says that this presentation is a detailed insight of the Right to Information Act 2005. Let's see what we have in the table of contents. First, we have introduction. Then we'll discuss why RTI is a necessity in our lives. Then preliminary. After that, we'll look at the meaning of information given in the act. Then public authority. After that comes information accessible under the act, about private bodies, political parties, obligations and responsibilities of public authorities, procedure of filing an RTI, which is very important, rejection of a request, information barred by the act, third party information, composition of Central Information Commission, eligibility, tenure, salaries and allowances, oath to be made by Chief Information Commissioner, RTI Amendment Act 2019, and restraints for ordinary citizens. So it's quite a long list. Okay, so let's move on. RTI is an act that was enacted to provide for setting out the practical regime of right to information for citizens to ensure access to information under the control of public authorities. So it means that it facilitates the sharing of information if it is sought by any citizen, and that information is brought out to public domain by the public authorities. Alongside, there are some very crucial points that are to be noted. The RTI law was passed by the Parliament of India, also called the legislature, on 15th June 2005, and the act came into force on 12th October 2005. RTI replaced the former Freedom of Information Act 2002, and when RTI was enacted, it was the 56th year of the Republic of India. It is important to note that RTI is not a fundamental right in the Constitution. However, it protects the fundamental rights of freedom of speech and expression, which comes under Article 19, and right to life and personal liberty, Article 21. Moving on, why RTI is a necessity? That means, what is the significance of RTI? RTI promotes transparency and accountability in the functioning of all public authorities. Democracy comes with the freedom of speech and expression, and citizens have the right to ask questions and be informed about the working of constitutional bodies. In short, RTI maintains the spirit of democracy. Next, let us look at the scope of the Act. The Act extends to the whole of India. Earlier, it did not apply to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but after the abrogation of 370, the information regime was established there as well. So, Central Information Commission means the Central Information Commission constituted under subsection 1 of section 12. So, Central Information Commission is the primary body related to RTI in India. Under the Act, competent authority means Speaker, who presides over the Legislative Assembly of a state or union territory, Chairman of the Legislative Council of a state, Chief Justice of India of the Honorable Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of the High Court, and President or the Governor, as the case may be, in the case of other authorities established or constituted by or under the Constitution. Also, the administrator appointed under Article 239 of the Constitution. Let's move on to know what information in the Act means. Information means any material in any form, including records, documents, memos, emails, opinions, advices, press releases, circulars, orders, logbooks, contracts, reports, papers, samples, models, data material held in any electronic form, and information relating to any private body which can be accessed by a public authority under any other law for the time being in force. So we see that there are a variety of information which can be requested for in the Act. So since we derive this information from the public authorities, we must also know what is a public authority according to the RTI Act. So, any authority or body or institution of self government established or constituted by or under the Constitution, by any other law made by Parliament, by any other law made by state legislature, or by notification issued or order made by the appropriate government, and it should include any body owned, controlled, or substantially financed non government organization substantially financed directly or indirectly by the funds provided by the appropriate government. Now, let us shift our attention to know in what all forms we can acquire the information or it is accessible. Inspection of work, documents, and records, notes, extracts, or certified copies of documents or records, certified samples of materials, information in the form of diskettes, floppies, tapes, video cassettes, or in any other electronic mode or through printouts where such information is stored in a computer or in any other device. Moving on, third party means a person other than the citizen making a request for information and includes a public authority. Now that we know what a public authority is, let us look at the private bodies. Private bodies are not within the Act's ambit directly. However, in Sarbjit Roy versus Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission, Central Information Commission maintained that privatized public utility companies fall within the purview of RTI. And why did the courts say so? Because as of 2014, private institutions and NGOs received over 95% of their infrastructure funds from the government. So, this is the reason as to why the court said that the privatized public utility companies fall within the ambit of RTI. The political parties, the Chief Information Commission held that the political parties are public authorities and they are answerable to citizens under the RTI Act. The Chief Information Commission said that seven national parties Congress, BJP, NCP, CPIM, CPI, BSP, and BJD have been substantially funded indirectly by the central government and have the character of public authorities. In August 2013, the government brought in a Right to Information Amendment Act that removed political parties from the scope of RTI. So, presently, no parties come under the ambit of RTI Act, and a case has been filed to bring all political parties under the RTI. Now, let us learn about the obligations and responsibilities of public authorities. Every public authority shall maintain all its records duly catalogued and indexed. They must ensure that all records that are appropriate to be computerized and connected through a network all over the country on different systems can be made accessible to the public. Publish within 120 days from the enactment of this act particulars of organization, functions, and duties, procedure followed in any decision making process, rules, regulations, instructions, manuals, records, formulation and implementation of policies, directory of officers and employees, monthly remuneration, budget allocation, concessions, permits, or authorizations, and other such information. That means every such information related to that authority. The public authorities must update these publications every year. This is a very important point. Lastly, it must be a constant endeavor of every public authority to provide information suo motu to the public at regular intervals through various means of communication like internet. Now comes a very important topic, that is how to file an RTI. So, a person who wants to obtain any information shall make a request in writing or through electronic means in English or Hindi or in the official language of the area in which he resides, accompanying such fee as may be prescribed. Note that where such request cannot be made in writing, the central public information officer or the state public information officer, as the case may be, shall render all reasonable assistance to the person making the request orally, to reduce the same in writing. That means they must help that person and they must accept his or her request, even if it is in oral and not written. An applicant making request for information shall not be required to give any reason for requesting the information or any other personal details except those that may be necessary for contacting him. Where an application is made to a public authority requesting for an information which is held by another public authority or the subject matter of which is more closely related or connected with the functions of another public authority, that public authority to which application is made shall transfer the application or a part of it to the other public authority and inform the applicant immediately about that transfer. So what is the time frame for this? This process must be done as soon as possible but not later than 5 days from the date of receipt of the application. So one thing that is to be noted here is, if the information sought for concerns the life or liberty of a person, the same shall be provided within 48 hours of the receipt of the request. So this is quite important. The Central Public Information Officer or State Public Information Officer on receipt of a request shall, as expeditiously as possible and in any case within 30 days, either provide the information on payment of such fee as may be prescribed or reject the request. So they have the time of 30 days to either accept it or reject it. If the Central Public Information Officer or State Public Information Officer fails to provide the information within the stipulated time, shall be deemed to have refused the request. So all know that democracy promotes equal opportunities for the development of all citizens. So there are some provisions for certain disabilities in the act as well. If the person to whom access is to be provided is sensorily disabled, the Central Public Information Officer or State Public Information Officer shall provide assistance to enable access to the information, including providing such assistance as may be appropriate for the inspection. And the fee prescribed shall be reasonable, and no such fee shall be charged on the persons who are of below poverty line as may be determined by the appropriate government. Now let's look at what happens if an RTI request is rejected. Where a request has been rejected, the Central Public Information Officer or State Public Information Officer, as the case may be, shall communicate to the person making the request the reasons for such rejection, the period within which an appeal against such rejection may be preferred, and the particulars of the appellate authority. One thing that is to be noted here is, an information shall ordinarily be provided in the form in which it is sought unless it would disproportionately divert the resources of the public authority or would be detrimental to the safety and preservation of the record in question. The Act, there are certain kinds of information which cannot be disclosed in public. We have acts like the Official Secrets Act of 1923 or the Article of Right to Privacy that must be taken care of. So information which would prejudicially affect the sovereignty and integrity of India, information which has been expressly forbidden to be published by any court as it would amount to contempt of court, information the disclosure of which would cause a breach of privilege of parliament or the state legislature, information including commercial confidence, trade secrets or intellectual property, information available to a person in his fiduciary relationship unless the competent authority is satisfied that the larger public interest warrants the disclosure of such information received in confidence from foreign government as it is a matter of diplomacy, information the disclosure of which would endanger the life or physical safety of any person, information which would impede the process of investigation or apprehension or prosecution of offenders, cabinet papers, information which relates to personal information which has no relationship to any public activity, in short that has to do nothing with the public, it causes no welfare. So one thing that is to be noted here is, provided that the information which cannot be denied to the parliament or state legislature shall not be denied to any person. So the citizens have the right to acquire all such information that is made available, that is available to the parliament or a state legislature. Moving on, let us have a look at the third party information. The central public information officer or state public information officer, as the case may be, shall within 5 days from the receipt of the request give a written notice to such third party of the request and of the fact that the central public information officer or state public information officer, as the case may be, intends to disclose the information or record. They must tell the third party that yes, we are willing to disclose something that's related to you. So the third party shall within 10 days from the date of receipt of such notice be given the opportunity to make representation against the proposed disclosure. So even the third party has a time of 10 days in which he can either concede it or can reject it. Look at the composition of Central Information Commission. The Central Information Commission shall consist of the Chief Information Commissioner and such number of Central Information Commissioners not exceeding 10 or as may be deemed necessary. The Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioners shall be appointed by the President on the recommendation of a committee, and the committee will consist of the Prime Minister, who shall be the chairperson of the committee, the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, and a Union Cabinet Minister who is to be nominated by the Prime Minister. So, let's look at the eligibility for the post. The Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioner shall be renowned persons in public life with wide knowledge and experience in law, science, technology, social service, management, journalism, mass media, or administration and governance. That means they must be persons of eminence. The Chief Information Commissioner or an Information Commissioner shall not be a member of Parliament. That means they should not have any political affiliation or hold um, any other office of profit or connected with any political party or carrying on any business or pursuing any profession. um, this is because we do not want things to be murky in this act. So there must be someone very rational and impartial in the office. What is their tenure? The Chief Information Commissioner shall hold office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he enters upon his office and shall not be eligible for reappointment. No Chief Information Commissioner shall hold office as such after he has attained the age of 65 years. Let us have a look at the salaries and allowances. They have been updated recently in 2019. So the Chief Information Commissioner shall be the same as that of the Chief Election Commissioner, 2.50 lakh, and Information Commissioner shall be the same as that of an Election Commissioner, 2.25 lakh. Not much difference. Let me show you the oath that is made by the Chief Information Commissioner. So this is the part that I have taken it from the act. So that's how it is. Look at the changes that were made in the RTI Act 2019. So it was passed on July 25, 2019, and modified the terms and conditions of service of the Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioners at the center and in states. The term of the Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioners may be prescribed by the central government, so that central government has got the power to decide their term. Also, the salaries and allowances of the Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioners were amended, that I told you now, this one. So here's the latest Supreme Court ruling. Supreme Court of India on 13 November 2019 upheld the decision of Delhi High Court in the case of Central Public Information Officer, Supreme Court of India versus Subhash Chandra Agrawal, bringing the office of Chief Justice of India within the ambit of Right to Information Act. So it's quite reformative. End of this discussion. Every act has certain downfalls, and critics believe that the RTI appeals are rejected for many reasons, like when appeals are not written in English, when they're written in local language, or when they lack an index of papers attached to them or a list of dates. So many citizens are not much aware about the procedure of filing an RTI, so they have to seek out NGOs, RTI activists, or lawyers to file their RTIs. And there are many, bureaucratic requirements. People are not comfortable with the technocratic language that is used in filing the RTI, so it's quite challenging for the ordinary man. There are legal complexities as well, like the layman may find it very hard to file an RTI. So the only solution is that the RTI activism must continue, and regular drives, seminars, new initiatives must take place to make people aware about the RTI Act, because it is their right to become the informed citizens of our country. So that's all for me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day of joy.